I woke up last week from a nightmare. It was dark, and we were together with Sigrid in a remote place. And I tried to stuff my bag because we had to get all of our luggage, everything ready to go back home. I don't know what trip we were on, but I had so much stuff, it didn't fit in the duffel bag. And I had a bag of books I still tried to cram in, and I had the windbreaker, and it just did not fit all in. And the next scene of the nightmare was I was walking up a road to get to the bus station, to get from the bus station back home. And I was lugging so much, carrying so much with me, and the harder I tried, the harder it got. And nightmare, I try harder, I pull harder, and I find myself on all four crawling toward the bus station, and then I woke up from the dream. So there is something about dreams sometimes, where dreams hold up a mirror and say, Dietmar, what are you doing? You're carrying a heavy load. You try to stuff more in that bag that fits in that bag. You haul and you carry and you work yourself up and give it your all, and you crawl on your four and don't make headway. Dietmar, what a pitiful situation you're in. Now, there is a deep wisdom in one of the sayings from Meister Eckhart, a medieval mystic, who says, the way to heaven does not happen by addition, but by subtraction. My perspective, and generally our perspective on life, is more, adding more, doing more here, doing more there, working harder, getting ahead, doing this and that, and cramming it all in. See the duffel bag again there? And Meister Eckhart says, subtraction, less of you, less of stuff, less of business. Let go of things that you think will make you happy and which do not. I find myself so often in the situation that I want more and more and more of the things I know I do not need. More, and I'm just stuck in there. And the more I cling to something, the more I want something, the more I'm attached to something and think, I'm not happy until I get this, or until I have that, or until this or that. As soon as my happiness and well-being is tied to an outside circumstance of me, well, guess what happens? It won't happen. I see Charlie, you shake your head. You have been there, you have tried it. Didn't we all? Don't we all? Now, Jesus, the way of Jesus, when he points us to flowers, to birds, to children, why does he do that? Because flowers just bloom. Flowers don't care whether there are weeds beside them. Flowers don't care about whether the sun shines. Flowers just bloom. They're right there. Birds just live. They tweet. They get their worms, they get whatever they do. They're just birds. And children are just children, as happy as can be. Well, except when they're really hungry or need changing. That's when they're not happy, and if they have a colleague or whatever is going on with them. So, but generally, they have this self-contentment, something about being just oblivious to the outside circumstances, that I often think it takes that to make me happy. No, it does not take that. And drop your attachment, drop your cravings, drop the idea that you need this to be happy. That's pretty much Jesus' message, and that's what he lives. From our perspective, sometimes Jesus appears like total failure, homeless, okay? He says, birds have nests, foxes have their dens, Son of Man doesn't have a place to lay his head, a homeless. He's walking around, just eating, living from one day to the next. Not even a paycheck, my friends. A failed revolution and dying a criminal. If you look at today's standards, on our standards, not a lot to show for, isn't it? But turning it around and thinking of, what did Jesus have that all we have cannot give us? What are we trying to get through all our stuff, through all that's going on, through all that keeps us busy that Jesus had without all the stuff, with all of it? Well, it was the deep relationship, the deep trust in the living God that God will provide. To live with that in the here and now makes a huge difference, makes a huge difference. What am I to attach to? Where and how am I, or are you too caught up in? Sometimes, those duffel bags, and I can't stuff enough in them, or I feel like the 2-year-old laying down by the register, I won't get up until I get my Snickers, or whatever it is. I won't be happy, and I make everyone else's life hell until I get what I want. And not being very far from that is kind of a tough realization, that my happiness depends on whether my day goes as I planned it. Well, how often does your day go exactly how you planned it? Not my day. So why am I so attached to my plan, to my scheduling, and think of, I'll be happy when it works like I want it to work? Well, it's far from that. That's not how life works. Jesus being the bread of life means we have all we need. All of our needs are satisfied. We have enough. We actually have more enough. And our hunger for more and more and more keeps us to be present and content with Jesus as the center of our lives. It's just like this story. A fisher in a remote Israeli village right by a beautiful lake is sitting in the shade and eating some grapes. And there is this young fellow, just got his MBA, Oh, that's smart. And he comes and sees the fisher eating his grapes, and he says, well, what are you doing? Well, I'm eating my grapes. Well, if you would be out on the lake and would be fishing, you can sell fish and make money. And the fisher says, and then? Well, then, says the MBA, you buy a bigger boat, you get more fish, you make more money. And then, says the fisher, well, then you buy a second boat, you hire another person, you fish more, you sell more, you make more money, you build a big house, and then, well, then you can sit in the shade, relax, eat some grapes, and be happy. And the fisher says, well, guess what I'm doing now?